Hello and welcome to our brand new show, Firstpost Spotlight, where we bring you stories that matter to you from all across the world. From breaking news to the day's biggest controversies, we shed light on issues that shape our world. I'm Alison LaGrange, live from Durban, South Africa. Let's begin with the top headlines. Ukraine launches a major drone and missile strike in Russia's border regions, damaging a gas facility, industrial sites, and forcing schools to close in the Bryansk region. The U.S. Justice Department releases a report by a special counsel that says Donald Trump would have been convicted for crimes over his attempt to overturn the 2020 election result had he not won the 2024 race. NATO leaders from the Baltic countries meet in Helsinki to boost security following the suspected sabotage of undersea cables, widely blamed on Russia. At least 120 people were killed in shelling near Sudan's capital Khartoum as fighting between the army and the paramilitary RSF escalates across the country. And TikTok rejects reports claiming China is exploring potential sale of TikTok's US operations to billionaire Elon Musk, calls it pure fiction. Hello and welcome. Today we begin with the latest on the devastating Los Angeles wildfires as two major blazes continue to burn across the Californian city. Firefighters are in an extremely critical stage of their almost week-long battle. Although they made progress over the weekend containing two fires, but now authorities have issued an expanded warning about dangerous winds that could stoke the flames and amplify the wildfires. The fires are already among the most destructive in the history of Los Angeles. At least 24 people have died, and the toll is expected to rise as the search teams fan out for victims. Over 92,000 people remain displaced. More than 12,000 structures lie in ruins, including homes, buildings, and some vehicles. Nearly 40,000 acres of land has been scorched, and the fight against these wildfires is still not over. How many wildfires have ravaged California, and how did it all start? Let me break it down for you. Now, the first fire began in the Pacific Palisades on the 7th of January. The other fires, the Eaton and Hearst, broke out on the same day. 14% of the Palisades, which is the worst one and has scorched around 24,000 acres, has been contained as of Monday. The Eaton fire, affecting the northern part of Los Angeles, which has burned more than 14,000 acres, has been 33% contained. And Hearst, which grew to nearly 800 acres, is almost fully contained. The earlier Kenneth, Archer, Lydia, Woodley, Olivia's, and Sunset Hollywood Hills fires have all been contained. Investigations are underway to determine what triggered these fires, and authorities are looking into all possibilities. Now, the first is old fires. Around the 1st of January, a small blaze broke out near the Palisades. This fire was caused by fireworks, but was contained by the LA Fire Department. But strong winds could have reignited it, and old embers could have made it bigger. The second is climate change. Southern California has been experiencing a drought for 2 decades, but this extremely dry region witnessed an explosive vegetative growth after unusual rainfall for 2 years. This year, the city saw its driest winter, making the region a tinderbox. So even the smallest spark could have ignited a fire. Lightning, the most common source of fires in the U.S., has been ruled out as cause for the Palisades and Eaton fires. The third possible reason could be power lines. Usually, when there are strong winds, Los Angeles cuts power to houses. But in Eaton, the electrical company reportedly failed to de-energize the overhead wires, despite a wind warning by the Weather Service. The fires were fanned by the Santa Ana extreme winds. these fierce gusts have largely been blamed for turning the wildfires into devastating infernos. But amid the devastation, in Malibu, a $9 million mansion stood unscathed, while houses around it were reduced to ashes. Its owner called it a miracle and said the key to his mansion's survival was concrete, along with a fireproof roof and a solid concrete perimeter wall. In coastal California, which is hit frequently by hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes, and wildfires, most people prefer wood to build houses. It's lightweight and it's cost-effective. But in recent years, as wildfires in the region worsen, wood's susceptibility to fire has proven to be a major drawback as it fueled the flames further. Now, to battle these wildfires, there are at least 14,000 firefighters on the ground, 84 aircraft and over 1,300 fire engines have been deployed. Air tankers are also blanketing rooftops, vehicles and streets with a bright pink powder known as Phosgene, which is a fire retardant, and this is to combat the wildfires. This has been widely used across the United States since the 1960s. America's neighbors, Mexico and Canada, who incoming President Trump has picked a fight with, have sent firefighting teams. Even Ukraine's President Zelensky has offered to send 150 firefighters. Back home, there is also a political firestorm raging. The Republicans have launched a campaign against the Democrats over the wildfires. Their primary aim has been California's Governor Gavin Newsom. Trump, who has had a long-standing feud with Newsom, called the governor incompetent. Now, in the latest, Gavin Newsom also responded to Tesla's CEO Elon Musk, who targeted him over the current crisis. Newsom accused Musk of encouraging looting in an escalation of row over disinformation surrounding the fires. Earlier, Elon Musk reposted a message on X that falsely accused the California governor of decriminalizing looting. The war of words comes amid concerns of a looting spree in California after owners who had been forced to abandon their homes later returned to find their contents had been burgled. While this political firestorm may not end anytime soon, for now California is racing to contain these fires, as dangerous red flag winds are expected to trigger explosive fire growth. Now, moving on to some news from North Korea, where its leader Kim Jong-un has continued with his missile testing spree in the new year. North Korea has fired short-range ballistic missiles into the sea. Experts believe that the latest launch was a message to the US President-elect Donald Trump's incoming administration to either build pressure or to assert the regime's presence. The ballistic missile launch was reported by the South Korean military. Seoul said it detected several short-range ballistic missiles fired into the East Sea or the Sea of Japan. It added that the missiles were launched from North Korea's Gangai area.
Our military detected several projectiles which appeared to be short-range ballistic missiles launched from North Korea's Jagong province toward the East Sea. Our military has strengthened our monitoring and vigilance for possible additional launches, while closely sharing information with the United States and Japan and maintaining a full readiness posture.
South Korea said the launch violated UN Security Council resolutions.
This morning, North Korea conducted another missile provocation, 8 days following January 6th. This is a clear violation of UN Security Council resolutions. Our government will sternly respond to North Korea's provocations based on a strong defense posture and the solid South Korea-US alliance.
The launch came as Japanese Foreign Minister visits South Korea for a series of meetings with top officials. The two Asian neighbors are trying to boost ties ahead of Trump's inauguration. The bid to deepen ties also marks efforts to restrict growing threat from North Korea.
North Korea has expressed interest in strengthening its nuclear missile program, and their actions, including their missile launches, are threatening peace and security of Japan, the region, and the international community.
Pyongyang's flurry of ballistic missile launches in recent years has plunged the relations between the two Koreas to their lowest point. The latest launch marks North Korea's second test firing this year. Last week, Pyongyang said it launched a new hypersonic missile. The images from the test firing, released by North Korean state media, showed leader Kim Jong-un and his teenage daughter observing the launch. North Korean media reported the use of a new compound of carbon fiber in the missile's engine. Now, experts warn that this could allow Pyongyang to hit further targets using technology that only the US, Russia, and China have. The launch came in the backdrop of the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken's South Korea visit. The top American diplomat warned against North Korea's growing ties with Russia, as Pyongyang sent thousands of troops to fight alongside Russian soldiers in Ukraine. Blinken also expressed concerns over the possibility of Russia, which is a veto-wielding UN Security Council member, accepting North Korea as a nuclear state.
This is a two-way street. The DPRK is already receiving Russian military equipment and training. Now, we have reason to believe that Moscow intends to share advanced space and satellite technology with Pyongyang, and that Putin may be close to reversing a decades-long policy by Russia and accepting DPRK's nuclear weapons program.
Russia's nuclear nod to North Korea would act as a huge blow to global consensus seeking Pyongyang to end its program. And moving to Southeast Asia now, where the Philippines continues to tackle increasing threats from China in the sea. For 11 days now, China has continued to station its monster Coast Guard vessel inside Manila's internationally recognized exclusive economic zone in the South China Sea. China's latest action demonstrates its increasing aggression in the disputed waterway, and it has once again led to a face-off between Beijing and Manila. The Philippines has now deployed its air and sea assets in response to China's actions. Manila says 2 of its Coast Guard vessels are constantly shadowing the Chinese ship and are monitoring its activities. The Filipino Coast Guard have also sent repeated warnings to the Chinese crew over the radio, asking them to retreat and to end the unlawful operation within Filipino waters. Manila says the Chinese vessel was first seen just 70 nautical miles off the coast of the Capones Island of Zambales province, and denouncing the Chinese vessel's presence as an act of coercion and aggression. Manila said that Beijing was attempting to intimidate the Filipino fishermen and to deprive them of their legitimate livelihood in their own country. The Filipino Coast Guard said that they will not allow Beijing to normalize the illegal deployment of Chinese Coast Guard in the region. Now, the Chinese monster ship that has entered the Filipino exclusive economic zone is armed with anti-aircraft guns and extended fuel storage capacities. The 165-meter-long ship is capable of undertaking elaborate missions. There are also concerns over whether China is looking for a long-haul stay inside the Filipino exclusive economic zone. Beijing claims its actions in the region are fully justified and in full accordance with the law. But its claim stands on thin ice. According to an international tribunal's ruling in 2016, China's claims to large swathes of the waterways in the region have no basis. Beijing continues its relentless violation of the International Tribunal's 2016 ruling. Earlier in November of 2024, the Filipino president, Marcos, signed into law the Maritime Zones Act, which defines Manila's exclusive economic zone among other maritime features. Beijing called Manila's internal maritime law as a unilateral move. China's maritime expansion in the region continues to threaten not just the Philippines, but also the exclusive economic zones of 4 other countries, including Brunei, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Vietnam. The deployment of this monster ship is only the latest in a series of expansionist steps that China has taken in recent years. The question remains, for how long can China continue to keep its maritime belligerence above the international law. And could space be the next battleground? The answer is yes. With world powers intensifying militarization of space, experts say it will be the battlefield for future warfare. And China is preparing well in advance for this. In the latest, Chinese scientists have conducted a simulation operation targeting billionaire Elon Musk's Starlink satellite network. These Chinese scientists said that Starlink is not as invulnerable as thought. They claim that China can approach 1,400 Starlink satellites in just 12 hours, just using 99 satellites, and can complete its action plan in less than 2 minutes. These Chinese satellites on a hunting mission could be equipped with lasers, microwaves, and other devices to conduct reconnaissance, tracking, and other operations. But why Elon Musk's Starlink? China sees the militarization of space as a significant threat to its security. SpaceX founder Elon Musk has launched more than 6,700 Starlink satellites so far, and is expected to increase that number into the tens of thousands in the coming years. Another reason is the impact of these satellites on the battlefield. Now, shortly after Russian troops invaded Ukraine, Kiev asked Musk to activate Starlink satellites for use in Ukraine, and Musk complied. The system provided faster internet connection by connecting portable user terminals to low-orbit satellites. And this gave Ukraine an advantage on the battlefield and forced Moscow to devise new tactics for detecting and neutralizing Starlink signals. How does this bother China? Beijing has vowed to unify the island of Taiwan with the Chinese mainland. However, China's military action could be significantly impeded if Taiwan is granted the Starlink satellite network. Now, tracking such a vast constellation like that of Starlink with a small number of satellites was once deemed impossible, but not anymore for Chinese scientists. They claim to have developed an unprecedented technology that enables computers at Ground Control Center to generate an action plan in less than 2 minutes. Now, this method, developed by the Chinese scientists, was inspired by the hunting behavior of whales, which work together in vast waters to channel small fish into their mouths, while ensuring the process takes the shortest amount of time to conserve energy. A team of Chinese scientists claim to have developed a new binary artificial intelligence algorithm that allows their satellites to accurately mimic the whales and thus hunt Starlink. China is also building giant satellite constellations like that of Starlink. The Qianfan Mega Constellation Project, also known as G60, was initiated in 2023. Now, China aims to set up over 15,000 low Earth orbit satellites, challenging Starlink. The first batch of the G60 satellites was sent into orbit in August last year. And they have simulated a space operation as well. But if these satellite constellations actually attack each other, it would generate a large amount of debris threatening other space assets, and also risk the safety of the international space stations. And that's all we have on the show for today. We will see you again tomorrow at the same time. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned to Firstpost.
From breaking news to the day's biggest controversies, shedding light on the world's top headlines, detailed analysis on the stories that matter the most to you. Catch it all on Spotlight at 6 p.m. India time and 12:30 GMT, only on Firstpost.